Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Alan with another broadcast of the Morlock Morning Digest. I ask that you guys please like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and most importantly, share the content to help the channel grow. You're also going to find a few links in the description below, the most important being to my backup channel over on BitChute in case YouTube gets rid of me, as well as a couple options for donations, all of which are greatly appreciated. I know it's been about a week since I've made a video, but I've been dealing with a toothache that's pretty much made it impossible to function over the past week, but I'm here with you, and boy do we have some breaking news. So, Jeffrey Epstein, we all know that he was offed while in police custody, okay? And they want us to believe that it was suicide. However, the string of coincidences that would have had to have happened for that to be the case is astronomical, and probability dictates that it just is impossible. All right. With all of that being said, there's a new breaking arrest that's going to literally blow this thing wide open, and I think it has deeper implications than most people realize, and I'm going to get into why. She wanted to get arrested. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jillian, whatever you want to call her, Maxwell there wanted to get arrested, and I'm going to explain to you why I've come to this conclusion, but I have to give you some caveat to this beforehand, as always, to draw the picture clearly. Now, very few people realize that this woman is a French citizen, okay? She has a French passport, and in fact, has been in Europe very recently as 2 weeks before her arrest in New Hampshire. Okay, the property that she was staying at in New Hampshire was bought anonymously in 2019 for $1.5 million cash money. Everybody said that she bought this property anonymously, right, in order to lay low. However, I can point to the fact that this is not the case, because the name that she used for her mailing address on records for the city at that address was G-Max. Anybody with 2 pennies to rub together in their brain can figure out who the hell's living there. Now, we also have to realize that she posted pictures to Twitter as recently as I believe a year and a half ago, right after Epstein got arrested, at an In-N-Out burger. Now, what was interesting about these pictures is that there was advertisements on billboards behind her that were photoshopped, that if you dug into what the symbology meant, directly tied to the whole pedogate phenomena that was going on at the time. Now, the book that she was reading in this picture, right, was about a CIA agent who was undercover, etc., and working as a double agent. This picture did not come out by coincidence. Again, painting the picture that there is something deeper going on here. Now, according to public knowledge and everything that the media has been saying, this woman, right, was the money person behind all of the financing that went on with that whole underage sex scheme. So basically, if things are working the way that I think they were working inside of that organization, she would have been in charge of receiving all of the funds from anybody that was paying for Epstein's services, which means she knows all of the players inside of this entire web. She's basically the treasurer of this organization. All right, we're gonna take this one step further, because not only did she handle the money, but she herself was in charge of honey trapping these girls, right? Getting these girls to trust her, okay? And then she normalized sexual behavior for these girls, and accounts go as far as saying that she partook in teaching these girls how to sexually satisfy females, as well as taught them how to sexually satisfy men. I know this is disturbing, but it's the truth, and you need to hear it for what it is. Don't shoot the messenger. This has been going on inside of high society since the dawn of civilization, and it's about time we put a stop to it. But in order for that to happen, we have to admit that it's taking place in the first place and hold those accountable to hand and put them before the judgment of ourselves before they meet the judgment of God. Now, with her doing all of this, I'd have to say she is the most evil of the characters involved so far. And don't get me wrong, everybody involved in this scheme is an evil bastard. But for you to literally get these girls to trust you, right? And then not only trust you, but then normalize this kind of activity for them. And then not only normalize it, but when they try to get out of what's going on, you literally threaten them, torture them, etc. Because it gets even deeper. There's a woman who's coming out and saying when she was 14 years old that Maxwell did all of this to her. Lured her in, showered her with gifts, normalized all of this activity, taught her how to do everything by Maxwell used herself, right, to teach these girls how to satisfy females. This is on record according to this woman. And on top of that, this woman was then gang assaulted, and I'm sure you can draw the conclusions as to what this woman went through when she was 14. And she became pregnant, according to her, with Jerry Epstein's child. At that point, Maxwell, right, facilitated an encounter where she was tortured, forced to have an abortion, right, and then dropped off on her grandmother's lawn naked in the middle of the night by an armed man, saying that if you ever say anything, you won't be coming back alive next time. Now, you're going to ask yourself, why wouldn't this girl go to the authorities? Well, she was groomed and brainwashed into believing that this was how society worked. But not only that, she actually experienced those people in power positions that would be able to help her engaging in this activity. There was nowhere safe for her to go at the time. Now, what's interesting even more here is that the charges for Maxwell go back to 1997. The charges for Epstein, the original charges, are in 2003, which means this was going on far longer than anybody originally thought. Now that we have an understanding for who Maxwell is, let me explain to you why she wanted to be arrested, okay? Like I said before, she's a French citizen. She's been in Europe as recently as 2 weeks before her arrest. France does not extradite to the United States. Why would she come back? And then on top of that, why would she make it so obvious as to where she was hiding in New Hampshire? Why would she go out, right, and photograph herself at a burger joint and then Photoshop all of the pictures that just feed into this conspiracy theory that's raging on the internet at the time? She wants to talk. Now, it's very, very interesting, in my opinion, because if this is the case, it's because she finds herself in a no-win position, okay? There's no way in hell, with everything that's going on, that she's going to walk away from this, even if she does make a plea deal. However, what is the alternative? She could go on the run, she could stay in France, but that's a death sentence for her, is it not? Okay, you have to realize royalty has been implicated in all of this. All of that stuff that happened with Prince Andrew is real, okay? There's no coincidence that after Prince Andrew went on and did that interview about having relations with that underage woman, the Queen of England, right, suspended all royal activity for him, took away his royal allowance, and more or less put him on house arrest. Maxwell would have handled the money coming from the royal family. And if you think that this only extends to the nobility and royalty in England without stretching to the rest of that, power class of Europe, you're absolutely out of your mind. They would have silenced her. She would have been dead. Now, like I said, She's in custody in a facility right outside of Concord, New Hampshire. It is a county jail. What happened with Jeffrey Epstein when he was arrested? All of the coincidences lined up in a perfect storm, and he killed himself. Well, people are already out ahead of this with Maxwell. The hashtag Maxwell didn't kill herself is already trending all over the place. We are living in a movie, people. They're not even trying to hide the corruption right now. Chances are Maxwell doesn't make it to testify. Okay? That's just my honest opinion. It's so wide out in the open right now what's going to happen, it's not even funny. Okay? The thing that you have to realize is this touches all political offices. This touches every government. This is a worldwide conspiracy, and it was done that way by design. You see, Epstein's enterprise wasn't run by Epstein, okay? The media right now is making a big deal about the FBI going about this contrary to how they charge any other RICO or mob statute. And the media said that it's opposite because they're going after the guys at the top first, when normally they go after the small fish at the bottom of an organization and then work their way to the top. What people don't realize is Maxwell and Epstein are at the bottom on this pyramid structure, okay? The people in power that we're talking about involved in this thing are people that work behind the shadows, okay? They're the real people in control. They're not the politicians. They're not in the public eye, okay? This is scary as hell, because if Maxwell and Epstein are at the bottom of the pyramid, how high does this really go? And who's really at the top of it? This isn't unlike any other mob ring. They're going after the freaking small fish, and the big fish are so damn big that we don't even know who they are because they operate in the shadows pulling all the strings. All I want you guys to be aware of is this has to get pushed. They have to make something of this case very, very quickly, because if they don't, the chances of this prosecution never happening are very, very real, because we don't know what's going to happen in November. And on top of that, this is the one thing that could solidify the entire country as one united demographic, okay? Black, white, Asian. You can be an evil, evil person. Evil even hates this evil. It's too evil for some of the most evil people I've ever met. Just ask anybody in prison who has to bunk with a chomo or a child molester. They're dead, okay? Even the most evil men in this world don't tolerate the evil that Maxwell and Epstein committed, all right? And if the public realizes this goes into every aspect of their society, and the people that control every aspect of their society indulge in these perversions on a regular basis, you're going to see a revolution, an absolute revolution. It's going to be grassroots, and there's not a soul in the world that won't get behind it that actually has any fiber or moral understanding at all. I hope you guys appreciate me breaking down all of this, because there's a lot more here than most people realize. I just want you guys to open your eyes and realize that she did not get arrested unwillingly. She wanted to be arrested. She wants to talk. It's the only other alternative for her at this point is dying. And even being arrested, right, doesn't ensure that she's not going to still be killed. All right, I just hope that who's ever in charge of that county jail facility outside of Concord in New Hampshire knows what the hell they're doing, okay? And by the sounds of it, they do, because they're not describing any of the security standards or her daily movements or anything inside of that facility at all, which is completely opposite of what happened with Epstein. And that gives me a little bit of faith that we might actually see this thing play out. God bless all of you. I have another video coming for you today. We have some other breaking news to talk about. I'll see you then.